Welcome to always another, because that's how we do it around here, edition of Simpleton Review. I am your host, Nate Wade, Simpleton number 1.
And I'm Charlie Gibson, Simpleton number 2.
I'm Lemuel Edwards, Simpleton number 3.
Yes, you are Mr. Simpleton number 3.
You say that almost every podcast. If
Absolutely.
there was a podcast bingo, that would be one of the tiles.
That's right. And I'll tell you why. Because I do believe in the fact that you need to make sure you know your place at all times.
Okay. All right.
All right. This episode, we're going to be talking about a cute little movie, a French animated drama called... Now, hold on. I haven't even introduced it yet. It's called I Lost My Body, or J'ai perdu mon corps. If you speak French,
sure that's not how they say it.
I'm terribly sorry for how that came out.
That's not how they say it.
Yes, it premiered at the International Critics Week section of the Cannes Film Festival. It won the Nespresso Grand Prize, which I guess that means if you drink coffee, you like the movie. Is that what it is? I don't know. It became the first animated film to ever do so, which is pretty cool. It was also nominated for the Best Animated Picture at the 92nd Academy Awards, but it lost out to a tiny little film called Toy Story 4. So, which is kind of sad. I mean, look, I liked Toy Story 4. Pixar has my number. I'm telling you what, okay? They know how to emotionally manipulate me. But this movie is really, I thought, really interesting. Okay, it begins, the synopsis is this movie begins with a severed hand who escapes from a refrigerator in a laboratory and tries to find its body. So it journeys across the suburbs of Paris to reunite with its body. And then this boy, his name is Naufel. That's the guy who owns the hand that's trying to find him. It follows this Naufel as he, through his family life and up to the present time where he actually loses his hand. And it's kind of a love story and like a story about what it means to actually be human and experience, happiness and love. And I thought it was actually a really deep movie. It's different. It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. There were some major intense scenes there. I jumped when that hand grabbed that pigeon.
Oh, yeah. I was like, is it actually going to do this?
And then it killed the pigeon.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny because it was like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then
it's
lied.
Funny, huh?
It happened.
Yeah. It's like, whoa. I did have questions at the very beginning of the movie.
All right, those things make me laugh.
Yeah, well, I did have questions that so how does the hand see? Okay, that's my first question
that I have.
I asked
the same thing. I was like, okay, how does it see? How did it gain sentience in the first place?
How did it think, right? I mean, how does it
think? Come on, we watched The Addams Family. We know how this works.
I know. I get it.
You're never going to tell.
I get it. So, yeah. So of course, this hand goes across this journey, like I said, across the suburbs of Paris, trying to find its body. It's a different movie because you see...
It's the truly incredible journey.
Yeah, right. And it's definitely an adult show. It's not something that you want to show to a little kid because they will be scarred for life if you let them see this movie. Because there's some pretty intense places. This hand is. it goes on some crazy journeys. Like there's this whole scene with the bird, and then there's this whole scene with the rats
where it runs into the child, and you're. When it sees the child getting bathed in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And then how it turns into more of a family-friendly scene of it, like comforting the child and letting it know that things are okay, even though it's just a hand.
Yeah. So
imagine if the mom would have walked into the room while it was comforting the child. I'm just saying.
I know. I was waiting for that to happen. I was waiting for it to happen, but. So I do have a couple of things that I want to ask you about this movie and see what you think. First of all, what did you think of the conversation that he has with the girl? What was her name? Gabrielle, right?
This is the one near the end of the igloo?
No, this is the conversation where he's at the speaker telling her that her pizza. What did you guys think of that conversation? It was interesting.
Yeah,
you guys haven't thought about it much.
I was going to see. I thought Lem was going to go.
Yeah.
It seemed a little, I don't know, I guess deeper than most people would have a conversation with someone they've never met before.
Okay. All right.
Well, it started with her saying, you know, are you okay? And all of a sudden he realized, like, I matter. I matter to somebody other than.
That's true.
I mean, that was the first time he'd ever thought that direction, and so all of a sudden
she wasn't worried about the pizza.
Floodgates.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, all that stuff that was pent up in him, all of a sudden could come out, and that's kind of like a goal of existentialism. Mm-hmm. You know, is finding your freedom and like remembering those points that unlock the doors.
Right.
And so this is a very existential flick. I mean. For him.
Yeah. Do you think it was easy for him to open up because there was still a level of anonymity between the two?
Oh yeah.
That's how the internet works in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to shout the things you think into the abyss because you don't really feel like you see everyone else watching what you're saying. Right.
So do you think then do you think he made the right choices in his relationship with a girl?
Absolutely not.
Really? Like getting the job with her uncle. I mean, was that? I think the uncle knew what was going on the whole time.
I feel like
in a guy's perspective, yes. I mean, every guy's going to be like, what? I don't understand why this is a problem. To everybody else, it's like, oh, he's a stalker.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
Yeah, he kind of felt like it, didn't he? Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting movie. Now I have to ask the big question here, and the big question is, what is the significance of the hand?
That's a good one. I think it's more of like the outside view of himself.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like the outside view of the way he progressed, and it's kind of like a different view of like kind of like your spirit coming back to you. If you're in an existential sense, is like part of you has always been separated, and trying to be holistic and finding out that it's you know, and even by the end you find your freedom even without it. I mean, those are some existential themes. Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting thought. So I don't know how much. Do we give away stuff? I mean, it's not like it's a new movie or anything.
What I'm wondering.
You know, but I mean, at the end, you honestly don't know what happens to Nafal, or however you say his name, Nafal. You don't know, right? And part of me thinks maybe he died. Part of me goes, I don't know. I mean, he's standing there and he laughs. He just chuckles to himself. And that's what was that? Do you think it was? That's a big thing of existential. Like, the end is freedom. The whole point is freedom, and he was free from the relationships, the problems with relationships, and like overcoming that, as well as the problem with not having the hand. You know, all the disability. Right. It's like it was the part that said he overcome and became free. Right. And and you'll run into that in more French existential stories. Yeah. So that's kind of the point, is to be absolutely free and your own person. Yeah. Well, there's that whole segment where he's talking to Gabrielle and he's talking about fate, right? And he talks about jumping over to that crane and how that's like completely like, okay, the only way you get away from your fate is to do something completely random and spontaneous, right? And so I think that was his idea of like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to change my fate. And that plays into your existential ideas there, right? So
yeah.
So I guess let's go in. I don't want to say too much more, guys. I think if you really want to know about this movie, it's something you're going to have to sit down and watch for yourself, because we could talk about it all day long till we're blue in the face. You can read synopsis about it on the internet, and you ain't going to get it or understand it until you watch it. And then even then, you ain't going to get it or understand it. Just saying. So let's go into our rating, our score for this movie. Let's start with you, Mr. Charlie. What do you think?
I give it a 2. Or I'm sorry, not a 2.
Oh,
it was a good movie. I would watch it again. I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
My brain. Yeah.
Okay.
It was
all right. A 3. All right. What would have had to have happened for you to give it a better rating than that?
I think it would be either a little more enigmatic or a little less.
Okay.
So it'd have to be a little bit more like driven towards mystery or more towards completion.
Interesting. All right. Good. Okay, Mr. Lemuel, what do you think?
I think I'd give it a 4, probably surprisingly.
4?
enough.
Now hold on, because you're texting me during this movie and you're saying, I hate it! So...
I didn't say I hate it, I said it was stressful, thanks. It was very confusing.
And yet we had just watched that other movie last month for... and that one was anxiety.
That one was also stressful, but for different reasons, I feel like. Because the other one was stressful by the way it was shot, the amount of people that were talking all the time. This one had less of that and more of like just these weird moments, I guess you would say.
Okay.
But like, I mean, Ashley and I were voting for the hand to win, and if you can make people vote for a hand to not get hurt, I feel like you're doing a solid job.
So before you give your rating for it, give me your idea of Ashley's feeling on the movie.
Her feelings were it's stressful and she would really rather not watch it again.
Okay. All right. And so what's your score? You gave it a 4, and tell me why.
Yeah, I gave it a 4. Like I said, you can root for the hand. I think you do feel for the characters. Even if you do at some point kind of feel like NFL, like, why did you do that? I don't want to say too much more, but you'll see why. The reason that it doesn't get a little higher than that is, for me, I was a little confused onto the timeline at the beginning. It took me a couple minutes to kind of figure out what was going on there.
Yeah.
So.
I've been struggling with this one. I've been really trying to decide what to give it, because I think it's better than average, but I don't think it's great. I don't know if that makes sense. I do think the animation is actually quite beautiful. It's really well done animation. Yeah. And you don't think of France as a animation powerhouse, really. I mean, it's just not one of those things that you think of when you think of France, but well done. Now, the storyline is really good. Now, it is based off of a book, a novel, so I don't know how much, how close it follows that or whatnot, but it's the thought, the storyline is very infinitely fascinating. I think it's a great movie and makes you think. I've still we watched it 2 weeks ago, and I still think about that movie at least once every day or so, and it still is. What does that mean? Okay, what was that significance there? What was so symbolic about that stupid fly?
Fly.
So I'm going to give it, after saying all that, I'm going to give it a 3.5. That's right, a 3.5, because it's better than average, but I don't think it's great. I hope that doesn't sound too mean. But anyways, I Lost My Body, available on Netflix. So go watch it. If you've got Netflix, you don't have to spend any money. Just go watch it. Good movie. Well worth your time. And now we're going to head into another segment here at Simpleton Review. We call it Pop Culture Happiness. And Lemuel, why don't you go first? What's making you happy in the pop culture world?
So what I am excited for is in 4 days, Star Wars Squadrons.
I'm sorry, did you say 4
out.
days?
4 days.
4 days. 4 days.
4 days as of recording this, so I don't know when this will come out, but
okay.
So Star Wars
just go ahead and give us the date.
Yeah.
Comes out. It's I don't remember, October something.
October 1st or something.
But yeah, so it's a game where you get to play as a pilot in the New Republic or in the Empire, and you can fly around and blow up other ships, and there's like a whole story mode, or you can play multiplayer. And you can play in VR if you want entirely, which I think is the most interesting thing, but might make me sick, honestly. That might make me motion sick, to be honest.
Do you have a VR?
No. That's like $300 for the PlayStation VR, and that just comes with
really?
the headset, basically. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So if you're using the VR, do you still use controllers with the headset, or what are you doing with that?
Yeah, so with the PlayStation 4, you would just use your controller. If you have like a Oculus or an HTC Vive, they have like weird special hand controllers and stuff that make it more interactive, so you can use hands. I don't know how it'll work in this scenario, but
yeah, it could be interesting. Wow. Alrighty then. So Star Wars. What was it called again?
Star Wars Squadrons.
Star Wars Squadron. You get to fly X-Wings. And a bunch of other ships, or X-Wings mostly?
X-Wings, Y-Wings, they're fleet ships, the little fast guys, stuff like that.
Cool.
You get to
Millennium
customize
Falcon?
them and stuff.
Come on.
No, I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so yet. That might be like a DLC thing, but right now they're just advertising like the main group.
DLC. The way...
The way of gaming, boys. Gotta pay
yeah, you've
for
heard about
something
all
you
that
bought
controversy
previously.
between Apple and the people who created Fortnite, right?
Fortnite, yeah.
It's interesting.
Epic
I heard
could have handled that better.
I heard a whole podcast on that. It was pretty fascinating, and his whole idea is he's so big and they make so much money, they don't care. They don't care about Apple. Apple takes a 30% cut off of every
Google,
single thing. Yeah, it's standard across the industry because they have monopolies on the market. And so they take this 30% cut for every single app that gets downloaded, every DLC that gets purchased, anything like that, they take a cut. 30%. That is huge. That's a lot of money. So
a lot of developers end up charging 30% more on their like DLC or whatever
than
they would on a console or something, because console only takes like significantly less, like 2% or something.
Who ends up always eating the cost of something like that? It's always the consumer. Always the consumer will eat the cost of everything like that every single time. Okay, I'm going to move on. Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, we're going to make this segue all the way through. I promise you. You'll see how this goes. Speaking of Star Wars, mine's easy. October 30th, I believe. Mandalorian, Season 2. Baby Yoda coming out. I
haven't even finished the first one.
What?
Yeah, it's hard. Ashley's not as into it as I am, and so I gotta find time to watch it on my own. And she's like, yeah, Ashley doesn't really like Star Wars.
Ashley,
I don't have the
but
Disney
it's
channel.
got.
Podcast.
I haven't seen any of it yet.
But if you haven't, but it still has Baby Yoda in it. It doesn't matter if you're into Star Wars. There's Baby Yoda. Why do I even try?
Oh, that's
How is she part of our family? Ah! Don't tell her I said that.
Hey, slowly but surely.
Well, I'm really excited. Now, the thing about Mandalorian, it is one of the only parts of the Star Wars franchise that has been able to bring all the Star Wars fans together. Whether you liked the prequels or hated the prequels, liked the sequels or hated the sequels, almost everybody can agree that Mandalorian is probably one of the best Star Wars things to come out, maybe ever, since the, episode 4 through 6. And I think the reason why is because it doesn't get bogged down with all of this weird, superfluous nonsense. It just has a very basic storyline. It's about this what are they called again? Oh my gosh, totally lost the Mandalorian. That's the name. Is he the character of the Mandalorian? Oh my gosh, I'm just having brain farts here all of a sudden. But anyways, a Boba Fett-like character. This is the way, and he.
So he's a bounty hunter,
yes,
right?
He's a bounty hunter, right? But they live by a certain code, right? But he gets charged with making sure that this small creature who looks a lot like Yoda, but they have never said it is a Yoda creature because Yoda was supposedly the only one, right, of his kind. But they've never said what it is, right? So that's their thing. But anyways, but it's really all it is. And of course, Star Wars has always been this way, but they really take the foundation of the fact that it's a Western. And this whole series is nothing but a Western. And even though it's one of those series that you kind of have to watch episode 1 to understand episode 7, you don't necessarily have to, because each episode stands on its own so well. You could jump in anytime you wanted to, really, and follow it through, which is becoming harder and harder to do in a TV series, because back in the 80s, that's how they did it, right? You watched A-Team. You watch the A-Team this week, it's going to be totally different than the A-Team next week, right? Not anymore, right? It's this tells a whole story throughout every, through the seasons. So it's harder and harder to find a show that's just simple and fun, and I don't know, I just like it because it's just a simple show. There's not a lot of depth to it whatsoever, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. So I am excited about The Mandalorian coming out, and since nobody can go trick-or-treating this year, we got The Mandalorian to keep us busy.
Right.
Heck yeah.
Right.
All right, Mr. Number 2. Why don't you tell me about your pop culture happiness?
Hey, since we're talking about like Star Wars, it takes me back all the way to the beginning. The first time I remember seeing Star Wars was at a drive-in theater.
That was a good segue.
Probably remember those, yeah. So there's a drive-in in England that did something fantastic. Well, they haven't done it yet. I think it's still a couple of weeks. October 2nd or 7th is when they're doing it. But they're taking the whole system. They're going to even use the radio connections, like just over live radio, and you're going to be able to watch 80s concerts, like recorded concerts, on the drive-in theater. Like, listen to the music in your car, and it sounds like just a good fun time. They're going to play some Madonna. They're going to play David Bowie, Stevie Nicks, Prince. Nice. They're going to do a bunch of different stuff, like really, really pop tunes. So
nice. Yeah. That should be fun to go to. That'd be fun to do. That's really awesome.
So now we got to step it up in the States and try and figure out something that we can do to just blow that out of the water.
I do know that. Well, I mean, we've had like our drive-in here has had Garth Brooks. He did a live concert feed.
Oh, that's cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, and it actually sold out. I mean, they were charging like $20-25 a ticket, but it sold out. The whole drive-in theater was full capacity. And I know that there are a lot of music stars like Toby Mac, and I've heard of a bunch of others who are actually going to drive-in theaters and performing on the stage at the drive-in theater. So you bring your cars, you park, and you listen to Toby Mac play, and if you like it, I guess you honk your horns or something. I don't know. But yeah, so there is that kind of stuff going on. They have to figure out something to do, right? I mean,
still got people sneaking in the trunk, I'm sure, and
yes,
kids under 12.
That's right. You don't have to stuff your burritos in your shirt pocket though when you get into the drive-in movie. I'm just saying.
Right.
Not that I've ever done that.
Just fine.
Yeah, right. I've never done that. Okay, maybe I did once or twice. With my mother. With my mother.
Experience here.
Man from Snowy River actually was the movie we did. All right. All right. Okay, well, that does it for our episode here at Simpleton Review. We talked about the movie I Lost My Body. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. It is a good movie and well worth your time. And before I go any farther, I want to say these programs here will be releasing in the month of October. And we have a birthday boy in the month of October, so I do want to wish in advance a happy birthday to Mr. Number 2, Charlie Gibson.
Thank you.
Yes, he's going to be old.
Happy birthday,
yes, Charlie. 47.
47 years old. Dang it. We're getting old, dude. We're getting old.
Oh, yeah.
I met Charlie when I was 18 and he was 19, so we've known each other for a few years. It's been a while. That's crazy. 26, 27 years now. Holy crap. Woo! Oh, that's
longer than I've
Shut
been
up.
alive.
Okay. All right, hey, we're gonna close up shop. You guys have a wonderful October. Remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the Simpleton Review. That is, if you like it. Go to our website, simpletonreview.com, and we have swag. You can find it on our website. I've got a link there. Or you can go to our store on threadless.com. You'll see that stuff in the show notes here on the video and on the podcast. You'll see it on the show notes as well. I'm Nate Wade, Simpleton number 1.
And I'm Charlie Gibson, Simpleton number 2.
I'm Lemuel Edwards Simpleton number
He totally
3.
froze up. Like, he's saying something and his mouth ain't moving. I don't know. That was pretty funny.
So good.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Wait,
Bye.
what?